Is yours showing that it's recording?
Not sure where to look for that.
Should be a little red light on the bottom somewhere.
Oh, yeah, it does. At the top, it says Marion is recording the call.
Yeah. All right. All right. I think we were on text A. I think we got through. But I want to go back. Are there any questions about this, vocabulary or any other things?
I'll have some as we do our translating.
Okay.
Some reason I can't. It doesn't click.
Okay. Let's look at GAR in just a minute. It's a real important word, and it expresses an inference or gives a reason for what has been said. So when you see GAR, he's going to give you a reason for something. It is post-positive. Now remember, some words are post-positive. By that I mean they're in a position, and so it's post-position. It's in a different. Just a minute, I had to shut the door. It's noise down the hall. Okay. Now, post-positive means it's in a position after. So it actually, in the English translation, it would go at the beginning of the sentence or beginning of the clause, but GAR will not be the first word in the sentence. It never will be, okay? Or a clause. It will be second or third. It could be even later, but usually it's second or third, okay? So it has a position. There are several words that are this way that are post-positive. Now, I don't know why the Greek language has that. I suspect that it may have to do with locating the beginning of sentences, for example, somehow. But I don't know that for a fact. But anyhow, this is just an idiom, a characteristic of the Greek language. It has post-positive words. Some words are post-positive. Delta epsilon is post-positive, and GAR is. Those are two words that are. Now, by way of review, what did this WDAT, what did that mean with this verb? So it takes a dative object, say, instead of an accusative object, takes a dative object.
Okay.
That makes sense? One got that? Okay. Now here's another word that hoti expresses a conclusion. So you can see the hoti or gar. There's some other words that do. So this really helps you to understand the Bible and get the thrust of what's being said if you look for some of these key words. Okay? Any other comments or questions? All right. Okay, exercise 51. I think in your book it had the wrong number here, 51 or something like that. Maybe no, 50 was wrong, or 49. One of these had the wrong number on it, and I changed it in mine.
Yeah, the 30 for vocabulary.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
It's 30. Well, I've changed it to 50. Okay, then. So when I send this to you later, I'll send you another updated copy. That'll be corrected. Okay. Okay. Why don't we try? This is a fairly lengthy reading, but go down to the comma down here if you would.
We got down to number 3, translate.
Oh, we had number 3 down below.
Well, you said it'd take the whole time to do that one, so.
Okay, so we do
right, Benjamin?
Did we translate text A earlier?
We did text A. Not sure if we did text B, but I'm okay with doing translate if you want.
All right. Text B, you say we got down to 3, number 3, or Roman numeral 3?
Roman numeral 3. I'm not sure if we did text B. I can't recall.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know if we need to. Okay. Yeah. Either way.
We did that because I had number 3 there. The tongues glorified the kingdom wrong. That's some way. Now mark it.
Okay. Yeah. So we can do translate.
Okay, let's translate from English to Greek, and that makes you have to think in a different way. One of the problems with interpreting, translating Greek, is we think in English terms. That's part of our problem, because we're thinking in English all the time. And so Greek is not like English. There's some significant differences. And so once we have to go the other way, we'll have to kind of learn those differences. I think that'll be good for us, okay? All right, so let's go to number one. Did you do number one there for us? Go ahead, if you would, Benjamin, please.
Yeah, I kind of messed up on number one, actually, now that I'm looking at it. I did sozo as the first one, but then I forgot that the word therapeuo is one of our vocabulary.
Oh, sozo was too earlier.
Yeah, I thought that was save or heal, right?
Yeah, favor heel.
Yeah, so
He was probably wanting therapeuo, is probably what it's wanting, though.
yeah, so it would be therapeuo, therapeuase, I guess.
Yes.
And then I said therapeuae hupo tu mathetu.
Okay, that's good. So therapeuae, hupo tu, martha tu. So that would, hupo is your preposition for agency, okay? And it always takes if you go back to our prepositions, it always takes the ablative case. Now your lexicons will give it as genitive of origin or genitive of source or something to that effect. But that's really what the ablative case is, okay? I think you did well, okay?
Is, you are healed, is that supposed to be passive?
It should be passive, yeah. Yeah, I think you gave it as active, though, didn't you, there?
I said therapeuae.
There you
There are a few.
go.
And that's my problem is I'm still leaving the epsilon on the end of it.
Well, it should be passive voice instead of active.
Yeah.
A would be active voice. Thank you for catching that. So we need to go back and let's see what we got up here. So we need it, therapeuo, and so we need to put it, you are healed now. We don't know whether you is singular or plural. Did they make it singular or plural?
Right.
Are healed. Okay.
So I got confused there. So is therapeuae, is that correct?
Well, it should be. How did you put it? Therapy what?
Therapeuae. So epsilon, upsilon, eta.
Okay.
At the end. Is the epsilon, upsilon, that's part of the root, right?
You put it like this form we see on the screen right now.
That's correct.
Okay.
I thought the epsilon, upsilon would be part of the root, so I just took and added an eta after that.
Yes, I think you did right. Okay. All right. All right. And it's easy to sound like epsilon iota, okay, when you pronounce it, okay?
That's the reason why I asked was supposed to be passive.
Okay. So the eta and epsilon iota, we almost pronounce them the same way, okay? Now, what verb, is that okay with number one? Everyone okay with that?
Let me ask the question. By the disciple, would that be that dative ablative of agency?
That would be ablative of agency.
Okay, I was wanting to make sure of that.
Right up here, see, he's had it in this section.
Right.
You have hupo, and then right here is exactly what you'd have right there.
Right.
That would be what you'd have by the disciple. Okay. So obviously this disciple of whom he's talking is someone who's had the power to work miracles. Now that could be one of the apostles, or it could be someone upon whom they laid their hands, or someone prior to the cross that Jesus gave the power to work miracles to. Okay. Any questions there? That would be the three groups, one of those three groups the disciple would have to be. I remember when I was younger, I used to, they'd say the 12 disciples and call them the 12 apostles. And I didn't, when I was real young, I didn't understand the difference between an apostle and a disciple. It took me a while someone had to explain it to me. I don't know how old I was whenever I finally asked somebody, and it was kind of confusing me, okay? Anyhow, but you ask questions and you get informed, hopefully you get told the right answers, okay, of course. All right, let's try the next sentence, number 2, if you would there. Okay, Bobby, could you do that for us, please?
A gay race, a gay ray, dox usi, dox slay, dox zay, upo tu profatu.
Okay,
Is the first one was present active, first singular, second first, second person singular.
so the second one will be passive voice on it, you
Right.
already.
Right.
And
And then the
it's active.
dox usi was active. And this is when I had a problem with that. But I kind of figured it out by what we did for you are healed. So it would be this third person singular.
He is glorified, third person singular.
Third
Passive
person.
voice, right?
Right.
And Bob.
Doxatsetai.
Dot. Say that again, Benjamin.
Doxatsetai.
The dots.
Doxatsetai.
Okay.
It's a tongue twister, isn't it?
So dots.
Doxat.
Dots.
It's from Sodzo.
Doxatsetai.
Doxata. I thought that had a Z.
It does, doxadzota.
Say that again. Doxata.
Doxadzota.
Doxatsetai.
Doxata. Okay.
Break it up into syllables. Say
Well, I
it
do that,
slowly.
but
And
I
then
have a problem
make the
with
sound
the
speed up. That's how you do it.
Doxata.
Doxadzota. Doxadzota.
Yeah, that third letter is like a KS. Dox, odds, DZ on the
Yeah.
fifth letter. Doxatsetai.
Got it?
Doxata. Okay. The Doxata.
Okay.
And that
Number
again would be
3.
the ablative agency on this one too.
Yes. Ablative of agency with hoopoe. Now, we could put apo in there, but it won't hardly fit. Apo can be agency also, but it would be glorified from with apo, the prophet.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think hoopoe would probably be by far the best rendering here. We haven't had apo introduced anyhow as an agency. Okay. Slightly different meaning than hoopoe, of course. All right, number 3, back to Benjamin, if you could.
Yes, sir. I said, hoi mathetai akoluthes te aletheia kai therapeusi gar ekusi etsusian.
Okay, so what was on the third one to follow? How did you do that?
On the follow,
Yeah,
I said hoi mathetai
good.
akoluthes.
I'll go with face. What person is face?
Oh, that's
And what number is face?
oh, Thace would be first person or second person singular. That's
Okay.
not the right one. Akaluth Thusi.
Yes.
Akoluthusi. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And then truth is going to be in the dative case, okay? Because akolutheo takes a dative object. Let's go back up and see it. And so it takes a dative object. So that's why truth is in the dative case, right? You follow with, say, you follow with the truth, or you follow by means of the truth. It could be an instrumental case, okay? By means of.
So what would it be for the truth there after akoluthusi?
The truth, aletheia is truth. So you need to put that in the dative case.
Oh, so te aletheia.
Yeah, aletheia. And it will
I just got the wrong person, it sounds like.
Therapeuo will be what? I heal the truth. Let's see. These disciples are following the truth.
Disciples follow. Akolutheo is the verb.
Okay.
Akoluthusi.
Akoluthusi. Te aletheia.
At the usi. Got an usi in. Start person flow. They follow.
You're talking about kai therapeusi?
Well, I'm looking at number 3.
Oh, I think Bobby was asking about the heel.
Yeah, I was asking about the heal, the truth
So
and
that's back
heal.
at number 1, okay?
No, it's number 3.
No, number 3, the after the truth.
After the truth. And they healed. You need that plural.
Yeah.
It needs to be plural because it's going to go, it's 2 predicates. You got
Right. Okay.
sentence there. You got 2 predicates. You got 1 subject, disciples, and they're doing 2 things.
Right.
Okay. So when you're going to join them with and, you probably want kai here, although there are several other words that are translated and, but kai joins things that are equal in rank. And so following and healing are equal in the sentence, as they appear to me to be. Okay.
What would be an example of them something not being equal?
Well, one might be subservient to the other, okay? Just trying to think. We get te, ta, epsilon can make one subservient. So the one thing is subservient to the other. You can find that a few times. Chi is found but it's found on, I would almost venture to guess you'll find chi on every page in the New Testament. Okay. I'll be surprised if you can find 2 or 3 pages in the Greek New Testament where chi is not found. You'll shock me if you can find 2 or 3. You might find 1 or 2, but I would almost doubt it because it's there over and over and over in the New Testament. It's found many, many times, up in the 1,000 or more times probably in the New Testament. So, but ta, epsilon is one that is also and, but they're not equal. So the 2 things are, one is kind of like a subset of the other, or it's dependent upon the other. One's independent, one's dependent. Might be a way of saying it. Okay, we'll get to that later when we look at it. We'll try to look at a verse or 2 where it's found. If I can think of it, I'll look a verse or 2 up and let you see it next week. But it'll be epsilon will be your word, your Greek word. Okay. And yeah. Okay. But I would go with chi right here because they appear to be equal. The following and healing are considered equal in value or rank. Believing and being baptized, and those are really participles in Mark 16, which I think a lot of people don't really fully grasp participles. We're covering them in the advanced class right now. But what we have is they join two things, believe and being baptized are equal in rank. So one's not subservient to the other, okay? So both of them have to be done, okay? All right, does that make a little more sense now?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay, because, and you could use, there's two words we could have used for because. Could have used gar, or we could have used, probably they intended to use hoti, because they have power. All right, power. What word for power did we use? Did we have it in our vocabulary?
I use.
I think it was an old one. I used
Yeah.
exousion.
Exousia? Oh, that's good. That's basically to stand out of yourself. Okay. All right, so it's power. That's a good word, exousia. Exousia. All right, number 4. Who did number 5? Number 3, was that,
I did.
Okay, baptiz unta hupopo tu Jesu ale dia tois maithates.
okay,
Baptizantas, but it was, they are not baptized, so it's passive, first person, passive, third person.
The u come before or after the baptiz
who always precedes what it negates. Always. Okay, so it'd have to go before it. So whatever it negates follows it. Same thing with the negative may, mu, eta, but may deals with, deals with facts. It denies facts. For instance, I'm holding something in my hand and it's not a railroad train car. Okay. I mean, you can't see it, but you know I'm not holding up a railroad train car. Okay, you know that. And so it's not a full-size Boeing 747 or whatever. I'm not holding that in my hand. I'm holding my mouse, my computer mouse. So this computer mouse is not an automobile, not an airplane. See? Now, the other negative is may, mu, eta, and it negates, it has to do with the will of the mind. So it negates, it's used in commandments. You shall not do so and so, okay? Or it's also used with infinitives and participles because they're kind of iffy, okay? They're more iffy. And subjunctive mood verbs. So is used to deny facts, which would only go with the indicative mood. The indicative mood is a statement of a fact. So goes with the indicative mood. And so if you're going to deny a fact, you'll use and you'll use may if you're denying, if you're saying something might or might not be true, or such as if you're commanded not to steal, we don't know whether you'll obey that commandment or not. So may is used, and it deals with the will of the mind more. Okay, does that make sense? I mean, we can't know it. And if I tell you not to do something, I don't know whether you will obey me or not. Right? So may is used always with the imperative mood to command not to do something. Okay. But will be a denial of the fact. Okay.
So it goes back, baptizanta, goes first.
Who would go first? Yeah.
On the other part of the end part there is, because it's the word dia, and so is that also one of those ablative of agency?
Yes. Not by Jesus. And you could use dia.
That's what I did.
Or you could use hupo. And it would all have what you're stressing. If it's hupo, that's your primary agent. And so I would probably have used hupo with Jesus and then dia with the disciples. Now that gets into knowing the difference between the two. But
Hmm.
not by the primary agency of Jesus, but by the disciples. Although, I mean, you can make a good case for it being either, I think. You could use Paul both times, or you could use Dia both times, or mix them.
Well, I was thinking about being an exercise, and I thought maybe that's what he's trying to do is get us to use both the upo and the dia, since he.
I think that's what I have done. I put hupo with Jesus and Dia with the disciples.
Okay.
That's what I did when I translated it. Right. Now we went back to Matthew 1. I think I showed you the difference in those two, didn't I?
Yes,
By
sir.
the Lord through the prophet.
Right.
Okay. And the prophet was Isaiah there in that passage. Okay. I think he quotes Isaiah 7:14 in that context. Yeah.
Brother, may I ask a question?
Sure.
So I wasn't sure how to do this one. Is it dia de to mathetu or ala dia to mathetu?
Okay. Allah and de and da, and that would be delta epsilon, are both but, and it's a matter of what you're stressing. They would continue a thought through, but Allah would introduce a new category. And so if you're putting Jesus and the disciples in two separate categories, you'd want to have Allah, right? But if you're trying to stress the action of baptizing, and that's what you're stressing, then you'd use da, okay? Does that make sense? It'd be a matter of what you're emphasizing. Because Allah always puts puts it into a new set or a new group. Okay, for instance, if you say you are, this action is good and it's not evil, but let's say this action is good, but such and such is evil. Since good and evil are an opposite, or certainly in separate categories, you'd use Allah with that. All right. Does that make more sense about the difference in the two?
Okay.
Now, if you have my notes that I sent you, I hope I did send you notes, a file entitled Greek Lexicon and Grammar Notes.
Yes, sir.
You can look up Allah and you'll see I have because it's used repeatedly and da is also used. The distinction between them becomes important. And so I have cited a number of grammatical sources to let you know what the difference is, okay? So you can go look at those. That's really helpful in interpreting the Bible, those two words.
I looked up at lesson one.
Conjunctions. What now? I'm sorry.
I looked up at lesson one just to look at an example of duh. It makes sense based on what you said. It says, in this example, I wish to find, but you wish to lead. So like you were saying, they're different ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right. Okay, let's do number 5, and then we'll go on to the next lesson. We'll probably just get it introduced, but that's all right.
Okay. It says, we glorify the truth with our tongues. And I said, doxatsumen ten aletheon. Whom, let's see, hemon tais glosais.
Okay. Okay. Tais glosais. So you don't even have to have a preposition here. You could use a preposition like ein, epsilon nu, but you don't have to have one because the instrumental case here would be tais glosais would be instrumental case, and it would be shown by the instrument. The tool by which you glorify the truth is your tongue. Does that make sense? Although you could have used epsilon nu and it's by means of the truth, okay? Right?
I use
So
in.
that might be translated in the tongues, okay? But I would translate it by means of or with the tongue, even though you had epsilon nu as a preposition. Preposition is not needed though. You don't have to have it. It still would, the case would carry that thought. Does that help?
Right.
So again, there's more than one way to translate that, okay? All right, any other comments or questions? All right. All right. Now, the word glossary, like in a book, a glossary, all of my books that I've written, except my doctoral dissertation, I've had a glossary in them. And I think I had somewhat of a glossary in it. I can't remember so many years ago. But a glossary is it's from glossa, tongue, and so it's a list of words that are kind of need to be defined unless you have to get a big fancy dictionary to look them up. So it helps you to not have to go to a dictionary. You can get those critical words. Words that I think are going to be a problem for people to read. If it's only found one time in my book, I footnote it, so they don't have to look at the glossary. If it's found more than once, I put it in the glossary. That's what I've done in my books. All right, but if you have my books, you can understand what I've done and why I did it. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So lesson 8. This is something that is unique, and it's unique to the Greek language, and probably some other languages have it. I've only studied, I had a year of Hebrew, and I've had some Greek and Russian, and of course English. But I found that none of those other languages have a middle voice. I was told, and I can't find any hard proof of it, that the old English had a middle voice. The real old English back, very, very early English, and that it was lost. But I haven't found documentation of that. But someone told me that was true, and I still haven't verified it. So I'm not going to say it's true. I'm just going to leave that as a possibility, okay? All right? So right here we have 1 Timothy 3:13. It's right out of the text. Hoi kathos. Now let's just take this and just put it dia con a santos. Con a santos. Dia con a santos. See, pronounce your syllables. Dia con a santes. Dia con a santes. And just speed yourself up. Bothmon, rough breathing, ha, and then you have a diphthong, ha, twice. 3 syllables, ha, twice. Yeah, twice. Kalon, the accent's on the omicron. Peripoiuntai. See, speed yourself up, peripoiuntai. And you can say it. So that's how I work on the words to try to get to where I can pronounce them. I break them up into syllables, say them separate, and then I speed myself up until I've got it where I can pronounce it. But I don't know, there's probably a better way to do it, but that's how I do it, okay? Any questions about that? This is a participle, and so we have a participle which we haven't had introduced to it for us right here. It's a nominative case participle. Participles have cases like nouns or adjectives. They function as either adjectives or adverbs. Keep that in mind. That's the way they function in English too. Adjectives or adverbs. So this participle here is a nominative case participle. It has its own case endings, and it has the article with it, hoi, and then this is an adverb, kalos, and that's serving well. It would be our word well. This word well. Serving, this is the Cone Santos, Cone Santos, Cone Santos, Diacon Santos. And so this is nominative case participle. So this is the one serving. It's a literal translation, the one serving. And the nominative case plural article is translated the ones. That's where they got the word ones. The one serving well, and how do they serve? Well, they're serving, and this is from the word for a deacon, the verb form of the word for deacon. And so the one serving well as deacons, and they gain, right, for themselves, and this is a reflexive pronoun which we haven't had yet, for themselves, and this is kolon. This is an adjective form of this kalos, which is an adverb form of the same root word. Okay? And so this is to gain or work. And so this is a bathmos is deep or of depth. It's the word idea of depth. So they gain for themselves a good standing. And so this is poieo from poieo, the work, and peri is around, the working around. It's not exactly literally translated, is it? It's pretty close. Right. But right here, what we have is this word here is what we have. That's our word here, gain for themselves. Gain, translated gain. Right? And this is the word good, and this is the word standing. This is depth, bathmos. Okay. Now, right here, so what we have in is, this is the middle voice. So we're going to illustrate what it is. It is different. It's something new. It's real important. Besides the active and passive voices, which we have studied, Greek has another voice that is called the middle voice. Now, what does this voice do? It represents the subject as acting for himself or in his own interest. Now, right here, he, and that's luetai, tain a falon. And so he washes the head, right? And the head is accusative case. So what gets washed? The head. But who's doing the washing? Somebody's doing the washing. He. Right? Now the form of it here, this is your middle voice. This is the active voice, and we have active and middle, and we have passive voices. So he washes his head. Now, are you passive in washing your own head? Are you active in it?
You're active in it.
Yeah, you're kind of active, but you're washing your own head. So it's a little of both, isn't it? So right here, he acts for himself or in his own interest or upon himself. If you comb your hair in Greek, you'd probably put it in the middle voice. You comb your hair for yourself. See? He washes for himself the head. That's kind of a literal rendering of it. And English represents the active function of the Greek verb, but has no middle. English will use a reflexive expression to denote the middle voice. So when we have the middle voice, we put a reflexive word in there, like for himself. He washes for himself the head. Right? Now, we have in Acts 22:16, arise and be baptized and wash away thy sins, calling on his name. We have a middle voice verb there, right? And so what are you doing? You're washing or you're baptizing, you're getting baptized for yourself. You're not baptizing yourself, but you're getting baptized for your own benefit. You're acting for yourself. You have to
Is
take
the
that
washing part also in the middle voice?
I can't remember, but the baptized is. I can't remember whether that washing is, but I have to look it up and see.
Yeah, it's middle. It's middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So arise for yourself. You get up and do it. You take the bull by the horns and arise. And you get yourself baptized. Right? And it's not baptizing yourself. You're getting something done for yourself. Now, sometimes it will be to yourself, but baptism, he had to get it done. He had to have it himself baptized. All right? So the middle voice is different. Now, the present tense, present indicative middle of luo. Here, what I want you to see now, this is something that's could be a little bit of a problem for you. And this probably should have a parenthesis somewhere to fill this in, and it's been left out. I'll try to put it back in. It probably goes right here, okay? But I'll edit that later. The middle and passive verb endings are the same in present tense. All right? Is that fair? The middle and passive verb endings are identical, except in the aorist tense, which we haven't studied yet. And that's not entirely true. It's also in the future tense. It has its separate ending. So the middle and passive verb endings are different in the aorist tense and in the future tense, right? But in all other tenses, your aorist, which is a point action we haven't covered, it views things as a single act. And that's not necessarily how they are, but it's how they're being viewed. And that's one of the tenses we run into later, but aorist. And it's very common, aorist is. But it's usually in the indicative mood, it's a past tense, okay? But we'll get to that later. But in the present tense, the middle voice has the same form as passive. In other words, it's a contextual problem, and I'll highlight it here for you so you kind of make a note of it. The context determines whether the verb is to be translated middle or passive. It's a contextual problem. Is that clear? I think the thing was going slowly, my computer was, right? So it's
context
context.
just a little bit.
Okay. All right. And luomai could be middle or passive. I loose for myself, or I am loose. All right. Luei, and that is middle or passive. You loose for yourself. And he's translating as middle here. Luetai, he looses for himself, or he is loosed. Okay. Luomata, we loose for ourselves. Lueste, you all loose for yourselves. Luontai, they loose for themselves. And then there's an infinitive, luesta, to loose for oneself. Okay? All right? And so that's the basic form. So your middle and passive form are the same in all tenses except the aorist. Now your future is built off the aorist stem. That's why he doesn't mention the future here. So it's built like the aorist. They put a signal on the aorist stem, basically. We'll learn that later. And add it to it. And then get to the aorist endings. Okay. We have contract verbs, AO verbs. We have also OO and AO verbs, which we haven't covered yet, but they'll be similar to this. And we just make it lu poi umai. I make for myself poie and poietai and poi umatha, poieste, poiuntai, and poiesthai in infinitive form. So that's your eo verbs. And we're about to the end. We've gone about 45 minutes. Okay. Do you have questions? I'm going to pick up with section 53 next time. Go back through it one more time. Because this middle voice is pretty important stuff. And it gets into several passages where if it's middle voice, it changes the meaning considerably for something, okay? I'll try to look at some of them. If you have any of my books, you can scan through. If you have electronic copies of them, you just type in the word middle and search through it. If you don't have my books, I'll send them all to you electronically. Just let me know. I've got the book on the flood, 2 books on the Holy Spirit, 1 on the role of women, combined edition now. I got 1 on the Great Commission, and I have some other materials too.
Yeah, brother, if you could send those my way, I'd be very appreciative.
I'll try to.
I already hold on.
You already have them?
Yeah, I already have all of them.
Well, I will send them to you, and if I don't send them to you the next day or two, you get on me.
Okay, and brother, that was one of the things I was going to ask you about too. Your books of the Holy Spirit. I have physical copies, but you have PDF. Then it sounds like.
Yes.
I was reading through it. I was wanting to share it with the gentleman from my congregation that's doing the belief in miracles today. That's what I was going to ask you about, is being able to share that with him so we can read it together.
I'll get you the PDF copy. You just give it to him.
That would be stupendous.
All right. And
Yes, sir.
And it's got it's got everything in it. It's got, in fact, it's got some more material in it that you don't have in your printed copies. Okay.
Okay. Well, my printed copies are signed by you, so they're special.
Okay. But I don't know if that means much, but it is. I'll get that to you, and what you do is I've added some more material in there, and I made corrections to typo errors and some other stuff. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. But I
had one more question, if you don't mind, before we end.
Yes, go ahead.
I was asking about the wash on Acts 22:16. If that's in middle voice too, that is interesting implications. You're the one washing away your sins.
No, you get your sins washed. You go get them washed.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's aorist middle imperative.
Aorist middle. Okay. You're causing your own sins to be washed away.